After 2 years of living and playing volleyball in Sweden, I was back home in the UK again. So I've got to decide, what am I going to do for the next season? Do I try and find another contract to go back to play in Europe? What will I do over summer in the off season to prepare myself for whatever I end up doing? I'll cover all that and more and reveal what I did actually end up doing in today's video. No rest for the wicked though. After being back for just a few days, having just finished the regular playing season, I was then straight back to the airport to have my second trip with the England team. We were going to Austria to join the Austrian national team at their facility for a training camp. The plan was to use their facilities to have a training camp ourselves, but then also play some scrimmage matches against their national team. My previous trip with the England team had been to Korea. Check out the video on that. That had been an unbelievable experience. I was really lucky to get to do it, although I did have a very tough time mentally. I really struggled with anxiety during the trip. I've talked before in previous videos how sometimes volleyball can really cause me to struggle with my mental health and getting imposter syndrome type feelings when playing. And something about playing for England specifically really seems to trigger this in me, and unfortunately Austria was no exception. The added difficulty was that I'd also struggled with injuries a lot in this last season in Sweden. Both jumper's knee and for the first time I've developed a shoulder problem, which got worse and worse as the season went on, and without realising it, I was getting very shy about actually hitting the ball and resorting to tipping or power tipping basically every ball. This trip then came at quite an unfortunate time, right at the end of the regular season, when my body was fucked. Add to that the fact that the playing load at England camps is understandably very high. As it's expensive to get the whole team together, you want to make the most of those opportunities and play as much as possible. This gives you a mentally and physically broken George. That's why I've not been back to play for England since this trip. Mentally, I want to sort my head out so that I'm happy and excited playing volleyball and relishing the opportunity to play for my country, not hiding from it. And then physically, if I can't even handle a normal season with my club, adding in more very high intensity and high level volleyball on top of that doesn't feel like a very smart thing to do. I'm working very hard to address these two problems as I really want to go back and did make big progress on both of them this season. Anyway, so I got back from the trip, not really feeling great about volleyball and feeling pretty pessimistic for the upcoming season. I wasn't really feeling that excited to play, and even if I did find a contract, I didn't really believe my body could handle it. So I was thinking a bit of a tactical rethink may be in order. Thankfully, I had a few nice things lined up to give me some space away from volleyball to think. A little holiday down in London with friends, and then our friends from Sweden, Hannah and Pontus, came to visit us, so we got to be tour guides for Norwich and the UK for a few days. And yes, I did make them watch a cricket match. Shortly afterwards though, I had a very interesting opportunity land in my lap. I was off up to see my childhood friend and fellow volleyballer Zach in Leeds, where he lives. I spent a lot of time in Leeds with the volleyball club there when I was at uni in Sheffield, joining them for socials and such when I'd go to see Zach or my other friend Hannah, who's also at Leeds, and then playing against them a load in NVL and Bucks. So I felt quite at home with the club and joined them for a training session whilst I was up north. This was my first time being at anything volleyball related in the UK since having started this whole YouTube and Instagram social media volleyball thing, and it turned out to be a very wholesome and humbling experience. When I turned up, a handful of the Leeds juniors recognised me from YouTube videos and came and introduced themselves. This is the first time anything like this had ever happened to me, and it was extremely odd, and I was probably very awkward, but it was also very lovely. Anyway, whilst chatting after training and joking I was there to sign my contract to play for Leeds next season, Zach mentioned, well, if you did fancy it, I bet you could join the Leeds Gorse junior coaching team and coach full-time alongside playing. Kind of just a throwaway comment, and I didn't take it that seriously at the time, as I was still really hoping to magically repair my body and go to play overseas. But it definitely did plant a seed. Brief interruption. So, a while back, I started a Patreon, and I recently rejigged how things work on there, making it much simpler. So there's just one tier. If you want to pay to support me, you'll get each YouTube video 24 hours early, a shout out at the end of every video, and the chance to vote on polls to help decide on video topics and other things. That, and you'll be supporting me and the channel, which gives me the chance to make better and more ambitious content. Anyway, so I'm very excited to say I do actually have a shout out to do. Only one, as at the time of writing, I only have one Patreon. However, that does mean he currently has complete control over the outcome of any polls on the Patreon. So if you don't trust him, then go ahead and support, and we can hopefully make this a bit more of a democracy, because currently he rules with an iron fist. Yes! So thank you very much, Finn, you bloody legend. Right, so I returned to Norwich from the north, settling into summer now with some thinking to do. First things first, I do need to earn some money. I really wanted to spend all my time on volleyball related things if possible, and keep trying to grow this space so thought I'd try and start a little coaching business in Norwich over summer. Generally, I'd say this went well, although I definitely learned some hard lessons about both coaching and running a business. My setup was to basically advertise that I was in Norwich, available to coach, and these are my rates for different size groups. In some senses, it went great. I was pleasantly surprised there were quite a lot of people who got in touch, and I even had someone come as far as Cambridge to have a few one-on-one sessions. All in all, it was very enjoyable, and I learned a lot from doing it. I also tried to take the initiative to organise a few things myself, setting up some clinics to run, and that also went pretty well, and I was happy with the result. The big surprise is
the fucking bass is fucking raw!
And I found this happens quite a lot, is the thing that I thought was going to be a slam dunk, home run, the banker, can't fail, was the thing that went terribly. My home club, Norwich Spikers, were really great and helped set this all up for me and provide me with equipment, balls, etc. And their indoor season had just finished as I turned up. So I spoke with the two NVL teams about just continuing their normal training sessions into summer, but then with me coming to coach. Everyone at the start said they were super keen, so I thought, hurrah, easy money. Unfortunately, the only way to book the hall was upfront as a block booking. So I did. It cost about £1,000 for the rest of the summer. 2 sessions a week of 12 people each, and I'd easily earn the money back and make a tidy profit. Unfortunately, turns out someone sticking their hand up saying, yep, super keen when you ask them after training at the first session is not the same as them actually turning up every week. Good learn. So yeah, I made a decent amount of money from the individual small group ad hoc sessions and then lost quite a lot of money from the block booking of the hall, which I couldn't cover the costs of. Still netted enough profit to keep me going, and you can't make an egg without breaking a few omelets. So all this coaching and being back in the UK did make me realize a few things. One, I really, really love coaching, which was making what Zach had talked about suddenly seem a lot more enticing. And then 2, I really love England. I was loving being back home, getting to see my friends way more, playing golf, tennis, table tennis, and just more sport. And then generally being in familiar territory is honestly just really nice. It's just stupid shit like being able to get a meal deal. It's the small things you don't realize you miss when you live abroad. Again, this is making Leeds seem like a better and better idea. And 3, I played some random volleyball tournaments over summer with various people, and playing in this context was reminding me after Sweden and Austria that I do really love volleyball and it is very fun. If I couldn't get out of my head a bit about stupid comparisons to other players and all this stuff and just believe in myself a bit more, I enjoy playing loads. This was the key final piece of the puzzle for me. Leeds had annoyingly got themselves relegated from the Super League the previous season, and the big thing that was putting me off moving there to play, as I really like the idea of coaching, was that I really didn't want to play Division 1. I really wanted to go back to Europe to play professionally at some point, and I didn't feel like playing in Div 1 would push me enough to develop, or I'd learn enough that would help me reach my goals. However, the thing that clicked playing over summer was that this season of playing NVL again with my friends at a slightly lower level could be exactly what I needed to sort the old noggin out and fall in love with volleyball again. Remember what it's like to play with freedom and joy instead of anxiety and stress. Not to mention, the upside of the level being a tad lower and being in a less professional training environment meant the load on my body would be less too. So it'd be a great chance to finish the season with my body in a better position than it went in. So, I now have a plan. I'll talk way more about Leeds course and what the coaching program I was going to be joining looked like, as it really is amazing to see what's happening in Leeds. It's very unique in the UK. I think it's the only non-university program where you can coach volleyball full-time, so I was insanely lucky to be able to get involved. But now everything was lining up very nicely. I'd be free during the day to gym and work on YouTube and social media and so on. Then I'd be coaching after school clubs and then the Leeds junior teams, and then either training myself or in the evening working with some of the universities. So that season I coached the University of Leeds men's first team, and then later in the year I worked with the University of York. So I'd be a very busy bee, and for the first time in my life, spending all of my time and earning all of my money from volleyball, which for me felt like a massive step forward in what I want to do. I had my first bit of official work, helping out at a few summer camps. It was really nice just to meet the other coaches and start to meet some of the players. Then a bit more time chilling out over summer, a few holidays, and then it was over. Time to work. Meg and I moved to Leeds and got a house with 2 of my best friends I met at uni, Matt and Sando, and just like that, we live in Leeds now. Next time we'll dive into the start of the season and my first time playing NVL again after 2 years abroad.